stop. Sherry.
Busy week here. So let me tell you about some of the things that we have lined up for you in this first hour that we have here together. I'm going to be talking with the real mayor of Gurnee, even though we like to joke that our own Mike Kaplan is maybe his surrogate at times, and we call it the greater metroplex of Gurnee affectionately. But IKEA is opening up a giant new store there, so look forward to hearing more about what's going on in Gurnee, the great things that are happening there right now. Also, we have to discuss the latest updates regarding U.S.-Iran tensions. There is just so much uncertainty right now, and really a lot of uneasiness, if we're being real, on that particular topic when it comes even just this weekend or maybe the next week, what it may hold. A foreign policy expert and geopolitical analyst, Harley Littman, is going to be back to sift through the wide-ranging possibilities here and also the ripple effects that come with both action and inaction there. We're also still all trying to digest the big breaking news this morning when the Supreme Court struck down President Trump's far-reaching global tariffs. He is reacting, getting some question and answer there, and they handed him a significant loss on an issue that is crucial to his economic agenda. So we'll be talking more about that as he continues this question and answer now period with reporters who are there in the room. We're also waiting on a press conference any moment with the Little Village Community Council alongside Illinois residents and partner organizations. They are formally requesting an immediate meeting with a special agent in charge of the FBI Chicago field office. We'll be talking a little bit more about that soon. Again, if they hold that press conference as soon as they start up, we'll try to go there to them live as well. But first, we start off with a conversation about city council members. They are pushing for a nationwide search for a qualified executive director of Chicago Animal Care and Control. Alderman Gilbert Villegas, who drafted a letter co-signed by 16 alders, is joining me now. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, for having me.
Absolutely. You know, Mayor Brandon Johnson in early February announced his intentions to appoint Susan Capello to this role. I know it's you and 30th Ward Alderman Ruth Cruz leading this charge now to keep searching. Why is that?
Well, listen, we were approached by the advocates, and not just the advocates. These are also volunteers that volunteer at the Animal Care Control Center. And they brought to our attention some serious concerns that have been going on for the past couple of years. And they were very concerned that the leadership that's currently there is not qualified. And so that's why they wanted to have the mayor put forward a national search so that way we can figure out if there's someone that has a background in this space that can come here and lead one of the largest animal care control centers in the country. And so that's what that letter is about, is trying to figure out where we can get the most qualified person for this position. We've had a lot of turnover at this facility, and the advocates were very adamant about making sure that we got someone that was qualified.
The advocates, the volunteers speaking to you, what were some of the stories that they shared about things going on there?
Well, they were talking about the conditions for animals, and that in some cases there were dogs that are required to be walked every 15 minutes a day, in some cases not being walked for 2 or 3 days. There were cases where animals were coming in and based on the employees' recommendations were being euthanized without going through the proper process. They were talking about the cats that were also being mistreated, and just the lack of experience of staff that's there currently and the leadership that currently there around exotic animals. So just a host of issues that's been going on for quite some time. You also had CPD that is having to step in and help out with transporting animals that are found after their dogs and cats are being taken to police stations. They have to transport these animals to the Animal Care Control Center, which takes a police officer off their route. So just a whole host of issues, and I think that it's time for the advocates as well as the mayor's office to have a meeting to talk about what the next leader in this space is going to do and what their vision is to make sure that these animals are taken care of.
Yeah, when you say it's time, this is not a new outcry. I think we should say that. Animal rights activists and organizers have long called for the city to do better supporting the shelter. Why do you think it hasn't changed before? And what gives you any reason to believe that this particular push will, in fact, be productive?
You're 100% right. It's been frustrating that this facility, this department rather, has not had the proper funding, and in the last few years has not had proper leadership. Listen, the volunteers and the advocates are just sick and tired. They came to see us. I got 17 of my colleagues. There's other colleagues that want to sign on as well. We're going to have to make a push here, and either we're going to be good stewards here and making sure that we're taking care of these animals, or we're not. And if we're not, then what's the plan? What's plan B? Is it consolidating with Cook County, since they have an animal care control? Either we're going to be responsible for this and do it correctly, or we're not. And I think that's why we want to have this serious discussion. I think that we can do a good job as a city. We just need proper leadership, and we need to make sure that we're doing a nationwide search so that we can find the most qualified candidate. Remember, these are volunteers that take time out of their day to come to a shelter to care for these animals. These are not paid city employees, and in some cases, they're facing retribution for calling out things and the conditions that are there. And so that's alarming. We've had some instances where some of these volunteers were fired, and I explained to them, how can a volunteer be fired? You're doing this for free. And so those are the conditions, and not only the animals are facing, but also the work conditions that some of these volunteers are facing.
Wow. Okay. And of course, Mayor Johnson has cited a record number of adoptions in 2025 and the highest number of animals transferred to rescue partners in over a decade. But you see that, I mean, he sees it as an achievement and puts Leader Capello as a part of that achievement, but you actually see it as evidence of the systemic problems.
Well, what I see is volunteers that are taking time out of their day to volunteer for animals. I see advocates, the professionals, the subject matter experts saying different. And so I'll be more than happy to get together a meeting with the advocates as well as the mayor's office, so that way he can hear firsthand the conditions. But also, there's nothing wrong with doing a nationwide search to see who's the most qualified candidate out there. We want the best candidates that are working, not just someone who's been around for quite some time and then all of a sudden they're getting promoted just because there's not many people that are working in this space. There's nothing wrong with having a nationwide search, seeing what type of other talent is out there as well. Again, these are the advocates, the volunteers that are pushing for this. And as an elected representative in the city council, what we're doing is working with them, the subject matter experts, to figure out how to put forward a better situation for these animals.
So you all have drafted this letter. You've sent this to the mayor. He says he is seriously looking over what some of these issues are that those advocates and volunteers brought to you all, which is important. What does a timeline look like for you on this? Has the mayor said when he intends to get back to you all? And if so, what would a timeline be like for opening up a nationwide search?
Right. So the mayor announced an acting commissioner, and now wants to make her permanent. And so she'll come before a committee to ask questions next month. We anticipate this meeting happening between that time of her presenting herself to the committee for confirmation. Then from there, depending on what that outcome looks like and what things can be codified, we'll kind of determine the next steps. In our letter, we stated that we wanted a search to be started by April 1st and be concluded by September 1st of this year. So we're looking for a nationwide search to last 5 months, find the best candidate, and have a selection done within 5 months.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the changes you would hope to see if you are looking a year down the pipeline and we're giving some updates on where things are? Where are you hoping a year from now will actually be with animal care and control for the city?
Well, I'm hoping that we have a world-class shelter where the animals are being treated humanely, that the volunteers that are volunteering their time are proud to work there, the staff that's there is qualified and trained up, so that we're providing services to these animals, and that the overall community, the animal-loving community, feels that this is a place that they're proud of, that they're happy to work for and happy to volunteer for. That's what I want to see. Over the last few years, that has not been the case. And I think this is an opportunity to fix that.
Alderman Villegas, please keep us updated. We are very interested in hearing where things go from here.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And thank you for covering this. This is very important. Thank you.
It is very important indeed. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
You too.
All right. 1:10, everybody. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. It's 1:12, and just within the last hour, we've been hearing from President Trump as he's been reacting to the Supreme Court's big announcement this morning, striking down his far-reaching global tariffs. On today, there were many things to come from this. This was a significant loss on an issue that really has been a center point of his second term here, especially as it comes to his economic agenda. So, he says that he's going to sign now an executive order to enact 10% global tariffs after this defeat. I want to go ahead and bring in Tad DeHaven. He is a policy analyst with the Cato Institute to, one, talk about the decision today, but then also President Trump's response to it and where we go from here. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
So let me just start with whether you were surprised or not that the Supreme Court had this decision this morning and came out so quickly with it this morning.
No, I think this is what most observers expected. For me, I was kind of curious to see what Thomas and Alito would do. Unfortunately, what they did in supporting the president struck me as highly partisan, but nonetheless, it's good news. It's a long-needed win for the balance of separation of powers in this country, because the executive branch has become way too powerful under both Democratic and Republican administrations, and so this is a win. But we can't pop the champagne yet, because as the president brought up in his press conference, there's a lot of other tools that Congress has given the executive branch over the years to address policy with tariffs. They're going to be a little bit slower, more processes, but nonetheless, the unfortunate news is, and the president just made clear, that the administration will continue to try and apply tariffs across the board, and under the continued dubious rationale of of emergencies and all sorts of things. So we're just time to buckle up because we're just getting started.
Just getting started, but at the same time, I mean, this is the Emergency Powers Act, which you alluded to there, really, this is the Supreme Court putting a check on something that they ultimately kind of opened up in terms of presidential power.
Well, yes, I mean, and that's actually a good point. Is that this power that Donald Trump assumed that he had and acted upon didn't happen in a vacuum. This is a buildup over decades and decades and decades, and that's why. Obviously, from the consumer and the American economy standpoint, in the business community, this is a temporary victory from the tariff standpoint. But in my opinion, the bigger deal here is that we had enough justices say enough. The President of the United States can't just put a tariff on Switzerland because he doesn't like the way the Swiss Prime Minister spoke to him on the phone, which is something that happened.
So where do we go from here? I think that's the big question. I want to maybe break that up into pieces. Let's start with from the standpoint of businesses. It was Vernon Hill's company was a part of this suit, bringing it all the way to the Supreme Court. So where do we go for businesses?
Right. I mean, and the president apparently in his press conference said that the Supreme Court ruled based on foreign influence. But let's not forget that this case that made its way to the Supreme Court was brought by small businesses, American small businesses. And so the big question everybody's talking about right now is refunds. The Supreme Court declared these quote unquote emergency tariffs to be illegal. But they didn't specify how the companies are supposed to get their money back. And so the administration has two choices. They can do it the easy way, or they can do it the hard way and make it hard for this money to be returned. And we're talking about probably $175 billion that was extracted from the American economy because the tariffs are a tax. But it sounds like the administration is going to try and make it as difficult as possible, which is quite relatively historic, given that we now have a Republican administration doing everything it possibly can to increase and maintain taxes that it illegally absconded with from their citizens.
We're talking about the impact from these taxes, these tariffs, was supposed to be about $3 trillion. So are we hurting the American economy in the end, or is this a stop the bleed and a reset?
If you look at the amount of money coming in from the tariff revenues, while it's nothing to sneeze at, $175 billion on an annualized basis, $300 billion in extra tariff revenue. The federal government's going to spend over $7 trillion this year. The amount being brought in accounts to about 7% of what the federal income tax brings in. But that didn't stop the administration and its apologists from trying to make claims that, well, we can replace the income tax code, we can pay off the federal debt, we can lower the price of groceries. There's been about 15 different possibilities tossed out by this administration of all the magical things that the tariffs can do. And the bottom line is, and more fundamentally, that we do have a massive debt problem. It does need addressed, but tariffs are not going to, nor should they. And at the end of the day, it's really a spending problem that needs addressed, but the will to do something about the spending problem in Washington continues to not exist.
And where we look at American businesses that may say, at least for a moment, they can kind of semi-breathe based on the decision today. Is it not? The president looked at these tariffs as a way to bring more jobs back to America, as a way to bring more money back to the country. When you talk about, the spending issues in Washington, he looked at it as a way to bring more money in. What do you say to that?
Well, I mean, if I'm being very honest here, the president really doesn't understand any of these numbers he talks about. He talks about the tariffs having fostered $18 trillion in investment this year, which is like saying I saw a unicorn last week. It's a 30-some trillion-dollar economy. So no, there was no $18 trillion that came into the United States for investment because of his tariffs. And again, really, the bottom line is Donald Trump loves tariffs. I mean, you could say that there's not a lot that he truly believes in, but one thing he believes in is tariffs, and he believes trade is bad, and he's acting on decades-long impulses here. And so, because he loves tariffs, the president and the administration, and again, his defenders out there, have constantly looked for excuses for why this tax on the American people was so great. And time again, we've been able to pick very easy holes in these arguments. And like I just said earlier, while the amount of money being brought in, maybe $300 billion this year, is nothing to sneeze at, it doesn't may have a material impact on the nation's debt trajectory or anything else. And again, if you want to address that, you need to tackle spending, not increasing taxes. And tariffs are particularly economic ruinous tax. Everybody talks about how much consumers are paying literally when they purchase things that were artificially inflated by these taxes. But we need to keep in mind, even if the American companies don't pass along those price increases, that just means that the companies are taking a hit, and therefore they have less money to invest. They have less money for their workers. So tariffs are an economic drag. There's a reason why they pretty much disappeared until 2016 when Trump became president and just acted upon his decades-long belief in something that really doesn't exist.
You touched on the next aspect of this that I wanted to move into, and that is the consumer. What is the trickle down of all of this for today? I mean, the inflationary aspect of all of this.
So, I mean, the some of the numbers I've seen from the people that run the equations is, if the administration did nothing, then the tax burden from his overall tariff policy would save American families somewhere like around $800 a year. But now we know that's not going to happen necessarily, because they're intent on trying to pursue these other different avenues. So it is a win today for consumers. The degree to how the depth of that win or the endurance of that win remains to be seen, but the administration just made it clear, the president just made it clear that he intends to continue to find ways to tax American companies and hurt American consumers, all in the name of, now, I guess, bring back manufacturing. But if you look at manufacturing and manufacturing jobs, it's down this year.
Tad DeHaven, policy analyst with the Cato Institute. Certainly appreciate being able to chat with you about this major story today.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. As we were speaking, a press conference began that I told you we were going to try to take live just as soon as they began. That is in Little Village, where the community council there, alongside many of the residents and some partner organizations, are requesting that the FBI, and they said that they'll be out there each Friday at this point in time until their requests are made, but that the FBI will do an independent investigation into the killing of Silverio Villegas Gonzalez. Let's listen in. Okay, we had a problem with the audio there, but you can see it is ongoing. We'll see if we can get that audio fixed and try to bring them back if we can in time. But let's go ahead and get in a quick break, see if we can fix that, and then come back. Okay, 126 right now. The audio is fixed, I believe. Let's go back to that press conference with the Little Village Community Council.
This is for our brother and for his family, because this is not okay. This will never be okay. And we are here to tell them that it is not okay and we will not stand for this. Thank you.
So, doña Anita quiere acabar en español. O sea, ya le puse uno. Sí. Okay, sí, doña Celia.
Mi no.
Pero trate de ser un poquito fuerte,
Ok.
porque el tráfico.
Ay, ya merito me ponen eso. Oh, Lord have mercy. Mi nombre es la señora Celia Zaragoza de Montelongo. Estoy aquí para apoyar al señor Silverio.
Okay, it does look like they've gone to the portion of their press conference now where they're going to be speaking in Spanish. We know many of you probably do understand the fullness of that, but for those who don't, also, we're going to go ahead and move on to another press conference that's happening at this same moment here. When we have more information about the presser there in Little Village, we'll tell you. But we know that this week, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, who's speaking here, called for more than 550 driving schools across the country to close. They used to train drivers. He says that too many CDLs are being issued to illegal drivers. So let's listen into this.
Set up a sting operation. We have a number of states that are partnering with us where our local law enforcement, along with motor carriers, they're going out and basically stopping our 18-wheelers, our big rigs. And in those stops, verifying their licenses, but also that they are proficient in the English language. And so that's what we've done thus far. The question becomes, well, what else are we doing? And that's the question I get often. What else is DOT and motor carriers doing? But just as a side note, you would have never thought that trucking is so complicated, and it gets to be really complicated very quickly. And I think the problem is it's just been allowed to maybe rot. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's been allowed to rot, and no one's paid attention to it for decades. And once you start to pay attention, you see that all of these bad things have been happening, and the consequence of that is that Americans get hurt. When we get on the road, we should expect that we should be safe, and that those who drive those 80,000-pound big rigs, that they are well trained, they are well qualified, and they're going to be safe, but they're going to keep me and my family safe as well. And that has not been the case. So what do we do from here? If you can't proficiently speak English, right now, we'll take you out of the rig. But what we're going to do in the future is ask states to disqualify your license. Now, I would love if I had the power to.
Okay, so again, that is Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, who is kind of outlining his the aggressive approach that they have had over the last week, especially here, going after states that have been handing out commercial driver's licenses that, you know, in their inspections have been found to fail basic safety standards. They've had some of these inspections where they found that employees were unqualified, instructors even, and that even the students who were in the process of trying to get CDLs, that there were some issues there as well, that there were many immigrants, they said, who should not have been qualified for the drivers. That is an issue that comes right here to the state of Illinois. This week, the Department of Transportation threatened to pull funding, millions of dollars of funding from the state of Illinois for that particular issue. It is also an issue that hits Indiana. There was a fatal accident in Indiana that then caused this particular issue to come up there as well. So he is kind of outlining again where they are going in a more aggressive approach in terms of getting people off of the roads that they feel should not have received these commercial driver's licenses or CDLs. Listen, it is 1:31 right now, and our next guest is here on the line. We have a lot of questions. People all across the country and maybe world have a lot of questions as to the U.S.-Iran tension that is building. where things go from here. And so we're glad that Harley Lipman is joining us yet again. Harley is a foreign policy expert and geopolitical analyst. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Let me ask you, there's a lot of conversation in terms of military readiness right now. We have seen more of the ships that are within our fleets from our U.S. military start to position in the Middle East. Do you think that we're looking at possible military action being imminent?
Well, I certainly hope so. And the reason why I say that is because this will bring peace, and this will avoid a much wider war. People are worried about the United States attacking Iran for a variety of reasons. One of them is instability. But the very existence of the regime in Iran is instability. For the last nearly 50 years, Iran has funded and supported all the wars in the Middle East. They're the world center of terrorism, which costs the world trillions of dollars. And if you're able to take out this regime, you're going to end most terrorism and destroy the leading supporter of radical Islam. That's just reason one. Reason two is that since this big armada is stationed off the coast of Iran, and President Trump does not use it, he will appear weak, and Iran will appear strong. And that cannot be helpful for peace in the Middle East. Last reason is that President Trump made a promise to the Iranian people. He said, help is on its way. I don't think he wants to go down in history as someone who betrayed and disappointed the Iranian people. I think America should be seen for where we're at our best, which is to help people, liberate people. 90% of the Iranian people live in poverty, hate the regime, and want to change. And I think the United States could make an historic contribution to transforming the Middle East and give it a chance for real peace if we help the Iranian people overthrow this demonic regime.
When you talk about regime change, that typically doesn't come with one strike. So are you thinking that we could end up in a prolonged military occupation there?
It's a great question. This is not going to be an endless war. And I think if you do strike at the regime, you stand a good chance of overthrowing that regime because the people want to overthrow it. Think about what happened just a few weeks ago. Hundreds of thousands of people went out into the streets to overthrow the regime. It was for economic reasons. It's not that they're pro-American or anything like that, or anti-American. They're living in poverty. They turn on the water faucet at night in the kitchen. There's no water. There's no electricity. They want change. And they want help from the United States. If Iran is attacked, this regime may crack and break. And it's the best chance we have is to do it now because they're very weak. Also, keep in mind that this is really a play against China. Can't forget that China is America's #1 adversary. For good or for bad, this is what it is. And it gets its oil from Iran, a substantial amount of it. This would be a huge advantage for the United States to leverage against China to prevent a bigger war. So I think for so many reasons, this will create the best chance for peace in the Middle East. No one wants war. No one wants people to die. These are all terrible things to happen. But there are times in history when you have to be on the side of the will of the people and overthrow a regime that, keep in mind, is an existential threat to the United States. No country in modern history for 50 years has been saying death to America like Iran does every day. And they're building nuclear weapons and the missiles to carry them to the United States. We can't take the risk that they're not going to do it. It's arrogance to think we know better what the Iran leadership means than their own words. They want to destroy America. So I think the United States needs to do this for our national security. Even China which is our main adversary, does not want to destroy America. They'd like to economically dominate America, but they don't want to destroy it. But Iran does want to destroy this country. So I hope President Trump has the courage to take the risk of this, because the risk of not doing it will be far worse.
You know, when you talk about an existential threat.
That's hard.
It's hard. Existential threat. You mentioned there that this isn't new, that this isn't a new threat to the U.S. So when we speak of timing, and you said, yeah, okay, Iran appears weak right now, especially after the last strike that took place there. But is this really about them being weak at the moment, or seeming weak at the moment? Or have to ask, is the timing aspect 2026 being a midterm year?
Well, that's a great question, because I think President Trump is at great risk of losing the midterm elections if he doesn't attack Iran. Because the Democrats will say, everybody says that President Trump keeps his word, but he didn't do it here. He promised to help the Iranian people, and he didn't do it. And that is going to undermine voters who want to vote for Trump. Even on the Republican side, a lot of Republicans and independents, and even some Democrats, may lose respect for President Trump if he doesn't do this. And I think that can't be good in the world, because largely the world has been at peace while President Trump has been the president of the United States, because people are afraid of him. He's unpredictable, which has created less conflict, and no new wars have started while President Trump is president, unlike during the Obama and Biden administration. So I think in terms of the midterm elections, President Trump is at great risk of terrible losses if he doesn't show American strength and do what is the right thing. And again, I think will transform the Middle East. Iran has been the one country that has created huge amounts of death to their neighbors. They have occupied their neighbors, Lebanon, Syria, the Houthi. They arm them, who fire rockets at America's allies and friends in the region. And when you say that, is this about the midterm elections? I don't think it's about the midterm elections, but the consequences will be a loss for the Republicans in the midterm elections. And about this being an endless war, I don't think so. Iran is very, very weak. They were devastated in the last war in June. Their air defenses were largely wiped out, with the United States and Israel attacking Iran. You will not get another chance like this in history, because Iran is rebuilding. They have been getting weapons from China, and they're trying to develop new and better military systems, anti-aircraft batteries, air defenses. They're going to try to rebuild more nuclear weapons. Again, I go back to believe what people say. When our adversaries say they're going to do something, believe them. And I don't think we could take a chance. The American people can't take a risk. When people say every day death to America, and they are building nuclear weapons, and they are developing the missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles, to reach the United States in the next 10 to 20 years, if not earlier, that is a threat that we can't ignore.
You've spoken a lot about China and their role in all of this. I haven't heard you mention Israel. And of course, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was meeting with President Trump just a few days ago at the White House. And now we're here really talking about the possibility of a strike happening very soon. How does Israel factor into all of this?
Israel is called by Iran the little Satan. America is called the big Satan. So Iran will certainly retaliate and attack Israel, and Israel will have to deal with that. And Iran is focusing first on Israel because Israel is smaller than America, a lot weaker than America, and very close to Iran. But their strategy is very clear and very transparent. Death to America, death to Israel. This is what they say all the time. And Israel is an ally and friend of the United States. So, and we want to keep that friend safe and secure, the way we want to keep other friends in the region safe and secure, like Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, that Iran has classified as an enemy. So it's about America defending its friends and allies, but it's also about America defending itself.
You also mentioned the fact that around the world, largely, there's been more peace during President Trump's time in office, and you kind of listed off a few of the reasons why, but he says he considers himself a wartime president. So how do you mesh that?
Well, I think he's a wartime president, meaning when the United States needs to use force. Again, force should always be the last resort. Wars are terrible, but if it's a war to prevent a far greater war, if it's a war to liberate people who are basically being terribly oppressed, then you have to calculate and you look at it and you say that there are moments in history where where we didn't use force, and had we, it would have saved millions of lives. One example is World War II, when Hitler kept saying he's going to conquer Europe. In the very beginning, had the world stopped him, 65 million people would have lived. That's the number of people who died in World War II. Had we helped Poland, for example, in 1939, when Hitler attacked Poland and stopped Germany there, look at all the lives that would have been saved. And of course, people said then, like they say now, oh, we don't want to go to war over Poland. But you have to think of what the real consequences are. And what happens is people are so afraid of war, understandably, and people constantly think that they could fix things or use diplomacy. So they always prefer that. But the truth is that if people want to kill you, there's no diplomacy that can be effective. And that is what Iran wants to do to the United States and Israel and their other adversaries in the Arab world. And I think, again, just leave them. Just listen to their own words. You don't have to take my word for it. Just listen to or read Iranian news outlets or read their press. On a daily basis, they talk about this. And for example, Israel made that mistake. Hamas kept saying they want to destroy Israel. Israel didn't believe them or underestimated them. And then October 7th happened. So I think you need to pay attention to your enemy.
What do you make of the Board of Peace?
I think that could be a wonderful thing. You know, nothing else has really worked in that region. When you think of that part of the world, have we really seen anything really work? Not really. So here's an opportunity to try something new. I give the president a lot of credit to be creative, think out of the box. In some sense, it's kind of a real estate play to develop Gaza. And if you could do that and give the Palestinian people a livelihood and free them from Hamas. You know, today, you don't eat in Gaza unless you help Hamas. They control everything. And they're not serving the best interests of the Palestinians. They're a death cult. And look what they brought to the Palestinians. If anyone were to say to Hamas, well, after you attacked Israel on October 7th, and Hamas tried to commit genocide, killing every single Jewish child, woman, and man they could get a hold of, what's the outcome today? What does Gaza look like? It's rubble. It's millions of tons of destruction. Poor Palestinians there suffer terribly because Hamas has used them for their goal of, you know, a worldwide caliphate. So I think this peace initiative should be given every chance to succeed. We'll know when we know. But I like the fact that the president is thinking out of the box, being creative, and trying to do something different.
All right, well, we'll see where it goes. And of course, we're all paying attention to these next few days, especially to see if there is some action that takes place between the U.S. and Iran. Our prayers are with all of the military families as they are most affected. Thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Have a good weekend. It's 1:47, everyone. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be right back. Everyone, we're back at 1:50 right now, and we're starting to get reaction from that big decision from the Supreme Court that came down this morning as it pertains to tariffs and President Trump's look on his economy here throughout the country and imports and exports that are going to other countries as well. So we heard from President Trump just a short while ago, and he was speaking on the fact that he's going to use another means via executive order instead of the Emergency Powers Act to still enact about 10% tariffs, I believe. But now the Treasury Secretary is speaking at the Economic Club of Dallas. He says, this is Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, he says that the tariff revenue his department collects in 2026 will be virtually unchanged by this morning's decision. Let's listen into a bit of what else he has to say.
Country is going to do if we have this productivity boom, because keep in mind, European Union and the U.S. 2005, we had the same size GDP. Now we are the more than 50. I don't know whether it's 100% bigger than the EU. So I mean, we've just passed them. So could you see the U.S. pull away? Maybe.
So the secretary's going to have to leave. He is going to a rally for Trump accounts, which he spoke about earlier. And I don't know how much y'all took of that, but I went to the kickoff in D.C. about, 3 weeks ago or something when they kicked it off. But it really is amazing that, the Dell family stepped up for, as you said, $6.25 billion to help fund these things at $1,000, and employers can match it. And so any of you with a company that want to match it with your employees, that's something, as he said, is I'm doing the sales pitch for you here. But yep. It really is an interesting deal. I didn't know anything about it until I went to D.C. and saw it, but I think that's going to be a major, for President Trump, his major legacy.
Look, I think when we see like Mayor Mondami in New York, part of that is disaffected, mostly younger people who have given up on the system. And when you see the exact numbers, 38% of American households have no exposure to the equity market.
Okay, so they were discussing a couple of things there. As I mentioned, he was initially responding to the tariff decision this morning from the Supreme Court. In fact, he says what we saw was just a very narrowing of the definition of a president's ability to use the Emergency Powers Act. But he says that they will now look at other ways to collect revenue here. Speaking of other ways, again, the president has already said that he will now look to enact an executive power via ordinance now to be able to still do 10% tariffs at the very least here. So again, major ruling coming down from the Supreme Court first thing this morning, starting to get some reaction to them. They transition that conversation over to the Trump accounts. There's much more of a bigger conversation surrounding that. But I want to bring you back here at home. We affectionately refer to Gurnee as the greater metroplex of Gurnee. Our own Mike Kaplan always loves to boast about Gurnee, but we have the mayor, Thomas Hood, who is joining me now to talk about a really big moment for Gurnee, getting an IKEA store. This is supposed to be a giant IKEA store right there in the Gurnee Mills Mall. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. It's an exciting time for Gurnee to welcome IKEA. IKEA is planning on opening in the fall, is my understanding, at Gurnee Mills.
So tell me a little bit about the process of getting to this point.
So it was quite the process. IKEA does a lot of due diligence. We first learned in February of 2025 that they were interested in coming to Gurnee. And they swore us to secrecy, and we agreed to that. Only a couple days ago, when they made the announcement, we found out that they were going to tell the world that they were coming to Gurnee. But we knew back in February that they were interested. They have a kiosk in the mall currently, and they were talking to the Gurnee Mills folks to increase their footprint. And over the last several months, we've been negotiating with them and have agreed to a contribution on our part, as well as the Gurnee Mills folks, to make sure that they can come here.
So this is one of at least 4 new IKEA stores set to open across the country in 2026, as I see. Why did they say they chose Gurnee to be one of 4 across the country?
Right. Well, as you might know, Gurnee is an awesome place to be for businesses. We have more than 23 million visitors a year. Gurnee Mills is currently over 95% occupied. We, in the last year, have experienced just an explosion in growth in our businesses. We've added businesses like Texas Roadhouse, Primark, Off the Racks, to just name a few. And IKEA, I think, has seen this growth, as well as the stores that we do have in town are oftentimes either 1, 2, or 3 of their brand in the entire country. Portillo's would be a great example of that. They're number 2 out of 88 stores in the country. The Cooper's Hawk is number 4 out of their 60 stores across the country. So from IKEA's perspective, we have a strong purchasing market, but even more so, we have strong village services that really support our business. So we're really excited to see them come to town.
Yeah, both of those things are so important. Now, I would love to know what was in the area where they will be. I mean, at 66,000 square feet, that's a lot of space. What was sitting there before?
So Sears used to be located in Gurnee Mills, and they had a footprint of 210,000 square feet, actually. And over the last several years, there's been 2. Hobby Lobby has taken 1/3 of that. And then Round One, another business that is more arcade-oriented, that took another 1/3. So 1/3 left. the space that IKEA is going to occupy.
Aha, okay. And what do you think IKEA brings to Gurnee that you didn't already have?
Well, they're the largest retail furniture store in the world. So to me, it's puts a smile on everybody's face, especially in town, to say we're a destination for people to come. And IKEA just is again saying, yes, this is a place for us to be. So marrying retail with entertainment. As you know, we have Six Flags and we have Great Wolf, and Gurnee Mills as being such a strong partner of ours. It's just added to our brand to say this is a place for businesses to come. Gurnee's special in some ways that we generate and support our village services only through tax dollars from our businesses largely. We don't receive any money from property tax to support our businesses and our the rest of our village services. So our business community is super important to us, and IKEA is just a vote of confidence for us. So we're, like I said, we're excited to see them come.
Mayor Hood, you talked about them bringing the furniture, but of course they're bringing Swedish meatballs.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Swedish meatballs, mashed potatoes. Who can turn that down, right?
Yeah, you can't forget those. You know, sometimes you just want to go to IKEA just for the meatballs. They are that good. So
I'm with you.
as you're talking about the things that you are bringing, and we celebrate with you as there is growth in Gurnee, what's next? What are you all still trying to bring in?
I think it's always there's a balancing that goes on with our residents, that we desire to have a wide variety of services and products available to them, but at the same time not to be so burdensome so that it's not fun to live in Gurnee. And our businesses have done a great job at that. Six Flags, you come off the expressway, you go into Six Flags, you don't really bother our neighborhoods, but it's yet a place that our neighbors and our friends can go and visit. So we do have one parcel of property adjacent to Six Flags. It's approximately 45 acres that we're looking to have mixed use, whether it's some entertainment, additional entertainment, some multifamily. So we're working on that to develop that. And we continue to have infilling, but largely a lot of our development is complete. So it's really a manner of, as people leave, that we replace them. And we just do a good job with the existing. We have existing, actually, today I'm speaking to you from Muller Honda. They just recently invested more than $7 million in improving their facilities. So it's really working with our existing businesses as well to make sure that they're thriving.
Wow. Well, congratulations to them. Congratulations to you, Mayor Hood, on all of the positive things that are happening there. And I can definitely see where it would be a balancing act. You know, if people move to Gurnee to kind of be in a more quiet environment than the big city, you don't want to add so many things that all of a sudden they're sitting in a big city.
Exactly right.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, keep us up to date. We're looking forward to IKEA opening very soon. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
All right. You take care.
Yeah.
Love it. Love to be able to get out to the suburbs and kind of see the things that are going on there. And this will be a big move for them. As soon as he said Sears, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I mean, there are so many places across the country that have massive spaces that used to be homes to Sears. And of course, Sears we no longer have. So now what do you do with that space? Well, for Gurnee, it's going to be IKEA taking over that space. So happy for them. Let's go ahead and take a 2-minute break, and then I'm going to set you up for what you can expect in our 2 o'clock hour here on Chicago Live. Welcome back, everyone. It's 2:03 right now on your Friday, and let me tell you a little bit about what you can expect in this next hour of Chicago Live. We are going to have a very important conversation before this hour is over about mental health, specifically when it comes to men. There is an organization on the South Side, Kenwood Oakland Community Organization. They're known as KOCO. And they're hosting a summit, a Southside summit called Breaking the Silence Around Men's Mental Health. And I love what they are doing here. They say connecting men of all ages to doctors, therapists, and resources. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. That should be around 2:45. We also found out that there is a particular business that came across, oh my goodness, a very rare Shohei Ohtani all aces card. And so we're going to have the owner of Mark's Card Shop in Downers Grove to talk a little bit about this big find and what happens next with that. I can hear the dollar signs in my head right now. We're going to have the fire chief of the Beecher Fire Department Protection District that's going to be joining me somewhere around 2:15 or so, might be around 2:20, that I talked to him about a dangerous intersection in that area. There have been multiple incidents that have taken place at that one intersection, and so he's going to highlight the dangers there and what they are doing. It's an ongoing effort there to try to alert people to it and create some change in that area. But first, in the 1 o'clock hour here, I was speaking to you all just right here, but out the corner of my eye, I was like, what am I looking at? Is that snow? It was snowing, everybody. It was snowing during our 1 o'clock hour. I know we were like shedding our coats just a few days ago. We were thinking spring thoughts. And then I saw snow out the corner of my eye here. So yes, we're kind of having a revisit. Winter is saying I'm still here. I'm still the main chick right now. But we will get to spring days soon enough. We got a little taste of it. And of course, with spring comes baseball. And Cubs tickets are getting ready to go on sale. And so I'm so excited to have Cale Venom, who is the Cubs Senior Vice President of Ticketing, joining me now to get us all up to date on what we need to know to be in those seats. Thank you so much for your time.
Hey, Nita, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
I am excited about this. I think, whether people are, Southsiders, Northsiders, whomever, it's just good to think about warmer days and baseball coming back. So what do you have for people when the warmth does come around?
That's exactly right. Winter's always a long time here in Chicago, and I think everybody's ready for spring to be here. And with that, we were really excited today. Earlier this morning, tickets went on sale for Cubs games at Wrigley Field this year. And so it's been a really busy morning in the Cubs office. We've seen a ton of demand. Our fans are really excited to get back to Wrigley Field. And so we're excited to welcome our fans back and get back to another season of Cubs baseball.
Tell me, are there some changes that they can look forward to this season?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're super excited to celebrate. This is going to be the 150th anniversary of the Cubs this year. And so we've got a bunch of cool promo items to celebrate it. You can go to Cubs.com/specials and see all the different promotions. So whether it's you want to come celebrate Boy Scout and Girl Scout night, first responders, nothing says, baseball in America like a bobblehead. So you can pick out your favorite bobblehead that you want to come get this year. But there really is something for everyone at Wrigley Field. And we're excited to have people back, and we've seen a really huge response so far this morning.
Mm-hmm. Are there some marquee matchups that you say, listen, go ahead, put it on your calendar right now?
Absolutely. I mean, opening day is number one, right? So March 26th, 1:20 against the Nationals, we'll welcome our fans back for opening day, and that really, signals the start of spring and the start of baseball season. But then throughout the year, we've got a bunch of great matchups. We have the world champion Dodgers coming back, the Yankees in August, 4th of July with the Cardinals. So there's a ton of really, really good games on our schedule this year. So encourage everyone, go to Cubs.com, pick out the game that that you're excited about this year, and hopefully we'll see you out at Wrigley Field this year.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Now, you mentioned the bobbleheads. As I understand it, they're going to be scattered around the city. Explain this thing to me.
So that was yesterday. We wanted to get out and celebrate with our fans and let them know that tickets were going on sale today. So we were out at Union Station and Tribune Tower throughout the DePaul campus. We had these giant bobbleheads that we were out. We were giving away tickets and food and taking pictures with these new giant bobbleheads and the World Series trophy. If you didn't get out to go see the giant one, we'll have the standard size versions at different dates throughout the year. So you go get your Ben Zobrist, World Series MVP bobblehead, or your Sammy Sosa one. So there's a bunch of different cool offers this year for people who didn't get out to see the giant one, and then maybe they'll make another appearance in Gallagher Way or around Wrigley Field this year.
Maybe sounds like probably, but you're not ready to tell us just yet. So tell me, how you feel this time of year. I mean, as a club, what's going through you all's bones, and when this season is almost upon us, and I know, the season starts up for you all before us, but when we're starting to kind of get back in gear, what's going through your mind? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I think the cliche that I always think of that I think so appropriate is that hope springs eternal, and every year in spring training you start to dream about the possibilities of what the season could bring. And we saw last year with having 5 playoff games at Wrigley Field, winning a playoff series, really bringing that environment back to Wrigley. It was just an absolutely incredible atmosphere, and it was the place to be in Chicago. And an electric Wrigley Field is something that's truly special, and it's like nothing else. So I think we've been just grinding out the winter, waiting for today. We opened spring training right now, actually, against the White Sox. Our first spring training game is today, and that tells us that the season's upon us, and hope truly does spring eternal. And I think our fans are hopeful for this year. We made a lot of really big additions to the team too, and so I think that optimism of building on that playoff team and hopefully having an even more successful 2026 season is certainly the conversation that we're all having at the water cooler in the office around here. And we just want March 26th to get here and start playing real baseball games as soon as possible.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure this is the point where it kind of drags out. But then when you get to March 26th, you'll be like, oh, that was like yesterday when I was having that conversation about wanting to get to March 26th. You bring up the 2025 season, and there was just so much excitement. It was so cool to see people who were like from Chicago but living in other parts of the country that were getting last minute plane tickets, even day of plane tickets, to try to come back for the games as you all were progressing.
Yeah, they're really, we're so fortunate here in Chicago to have a landmark like Wrigley Field, and it truly is a federal landmark, but it's the most special place on earth, and it's the best place in the world to see a baseball game. And the atmosphere here with our fans and this stadium is something that you can't match anywhere else. We have the absolute best fans in baseball. They live and die with every pitch, and that atmosphere is contagious. And so whether you're a diehard or you're wanting to come try a Cubs game for the first time, you're new to Chicago, you were born and raised here, I think everyone feels welcome at the friendly confines, and they all feed on that atmosphere and that energy. And it's just incredibly special place. And if you've never experienced it, you have to come try it. And if you've experienced it before, it's something that you need to come be a part of again. And that all kicks off here in just about a month. And I think after the season we had last year, we know our fans are going to bring it again this year. We know it's going to be an electric atmosphere, not just in the playoffs, but from game one. We just can't wait to get there.
Yeah. And you mentioned the on-field, probably and off-field additions that were made in the off-season, but let's talk a little bit more about that. If someone hasn't been following tooth and nail the additions that were made, the changes that were made, kind of walk me through some of the major ones.
Yeah, I mean, the addition of Alex Bregman, right, is certainly something that was the top of the page for us, and adding an all-star player to an already really successful playoff team, I think, gives our fans a lot of hope and optimism. We've added to the pitching staff, brought back, obviously, a lot of our veteran talent who were great last year, And so to take a team that was a playoff caliber team last year and felt like they had some unfinished business and could do even more, and to add to that group and to show our fans that commitment that, we're ready to win in 2026. And I think you've heard Tom Ricketts say the same thing, that, he's expecting us to compete for a division this year and to be a playoff baseball team. And I think you've seen that throughout the offseason. And I think our fans are responding to that and showing us that they want to be back at Wrigley Field. And hopefully we've taken a team that was a good team last year and made it even better. And that's what the season's all about, is we still have to play the games. Nothing's won or lost in the off season. And we're excited to get back on the field and prove it during the 2026 season.
Kale, what does it mean to you to be a part of the organization as these major things are happening?
I mean, we talk about it all the time. I think it's the absolute best job in the world. Like we get to come and work at Wrigley Field. I'm literally looking at it right outside the window on the other side of the screen here. It's the best fans and the best venue in one of the greatest cities in the country for baseball, which is, America's pastime, this beautiful thing that we all share together. So to have all of those things combined, we're incredibly fortunate to be a part of something that's truly, truly special here in Chicago.
That's a beautiful thing. And when you mentioned being able to look out at the field, there were some changes in terms of seating out at the field, some additions even to seating options.
Yeah, I think we're always trying to make Wrigley Field the friendly confines and be welcoming for everyone. So we continue to make some changes to the accessibility of Wrigley Field to make sure for people with mobility disabilities, there's increased seating options for them. So you'll see some more additions like that. We've got a couple other ideas that we're still working on. We still have a month before the season starts, so may see a couple small changes here or there. But we also know that part of Wrigley Field, we always talked about as when we were making major renovations to it, that it's about restoring Wrigley Field, not renovating it. It's about keeping this, federal landmark beautiful and something that you came to with, maybe your grandparents, and it's the same ballpark that they went to, and that hopefully it's here for generations to come. And so I think we always try and balance that. How do we provide a great experience for our fans while making sure that we have that balance of respecting tradition and making sure that Wrigley Field stays this beautiful place that we all love.
Absolutely. It is a wonderful place indeed. And you do just think of a lot of history when you sit in there. Thank you so much for your time, Kale. I'm super excited. March 26th and here's the thing, just like I was saying before I got to you, I looked out the window and I saw snow today. You just never know what the weather's going to be like on opening day.
Yeah, but a month from now, you can always dream that it's going to be sunny and 65, and that's what we're going to believe up until the day gets here. And we can't wait to have a bright, sunny day at Wrigley Field because there's truly nothing better in the city.
Yeah, something tells me coats or shorts, people are going to be there regardless. We're ready for baseball to come back. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, the tickets are on sale right now. Get ready, and we'll worry about the weather for opening day closer to opening day. Just go ahead and get the tickets and be ready. It's 2:16. Let's take a quick break. Give us 2 minutes, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. It's 2:18 right now, and I want to get to an important safety conversation. We have Joe Falachete Jr. He is the fire chief of the Beecher Fire Protection District, and as I understand it, Chief, you have an intersection there that has become very problematic for me. Tell me more.
Yeah, for the Beecher Fire Protection District, on the south end of our response area, we have an intersection, Illinois Route 1 and County Line Road. It has been a problem for many years. It's been the scene of many horrific accidents. And last Friday the 13th, around 3 p.m., we responded to a 3-vehicle accident involving a semi-truck. One of the vehicles was on fire, and it ended up, unfortunately, being a fatality.
What is needed at that intersection that's not there right now? Like, why do you think it is a problematic intersection?
So we've been struggling for at least the last 5 years, trying to get some change implemented, whether it be with IDOT, with our local legislators. The way that the road intersects, it intersects on an angle, and Dixie Highway is a Class 1 truck route. The average vehicle traffic per day is about 6,000 vehicles. About 30% of that is semi-trucks. And County Line Road intersects on an angle, and if you are trying to pass or trying to go through the intersection or turn north or southbound, you have to actually turn on an angle just so you can get a clear view of the north and south section of the road.
Wow.
They put up some advanced warning for stop signs. There's currently not a 4-way stop at that intersection. There's currently a stop sign east and westbound on County Line Road. We've been asking for rumble strips in all 4 directions, just another way for an advanced warning to slow down. And there's a improvement there through IDOT. They conducted a community awareness session in 2024. They do have a planned improvement for that intersection, but that is not going to take place until 2030. And my concern is how many people are going to be injured or killed in that intersection until something can get implemented on a permanent basis.
Chief, I mean, that's a major concern. You know, you say you've been asking for this. What are they saying? How are they responding in terms of saying what the holdup is?
Anytime when there has to be lengthy studies, property acquisitions that have to be done, anytime to, capital funding allocation at the state level, the process, there has to be something that can speed up the process to get some change implemented. For the last 3 years, in 2025, we had 14 accidents at that intersection alone.
Yikes.
We cover 56 square miles. We had 77 vehicle accidents district-wide. 14 of those were at that intersection. 4 of them involved extrication. In 2024, we had 18 accidents at that intersection. 4 of those involved extrication, and in 2023, we had 11 accidents at that intersection, 3 of which involved extrication. And we've sent multiple messages to our state senators, representatives, trying to get them to bring some change to speed up the process with the Illinois Department of Transportation, and we're just really getting nowhere. Fortunately, we have some other area legislators that are helping, trying to at least get us a meeting with the Illinois Department of Transportation in early March. So we're hopeful for that. no matter what, the firefighters and paramedics of the Beecher Fire Protection District, we're going to continue to respond. But with everything else that we do in public safety, we want to try to take the proactive approach. And the proactive approach to this is try to implement some sort of advanced safety measure to prevent as many accidents there as possible.
Yeah, and of course, we are grateful for you all sacrifice on a regular basis as first responders. And I'm glad that you mentioned, that you all have reached out to certain politicians, because that was going to be my next question. As I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, why isn't a politician taking this to Springfield and getting something done? What are the names? I just feel like we should know who are the people that should be responding to you.
So our senator, we have two. The way that the districts are divided, LG Sims, Napoleon Harris, and Thaddeus Jones is the representative. We've addressed it with them in the past. We know that they have a full plate with everything else that they have going on. They have a very large district. We're just trying to get them to the table to have another discussion, because something has to get done.
Sure, yeah. I mean, they may have a full plate, but people are still dying at this one intersection. So even if I understand what you're saying from the standpoint of land acquisition to do something, yeah, that could be a lengthy process. But the strips that you were talking about, that doesn't take as many levels as land acquisition.
Correct. That could be done in an afternoon's worth of work.
And yet here we are. Have they talked about funding for this? Are there some other means of funding this?
As far as the funding, I don't know about that. One of the interesting factors in this, about 9 miles to the west of us, there's another dangerous intersection, County Line Road, as it intersects with Illinois Route 50. That falls just south of Peatone, the town to the west of us, and in between Peatone and Mantino. Again, dangerous intersection, multiple crashes. October of last year, they were actually able, there was an accident where they transported 7 patients to the hospital, and then there were 2 fatal at that scene. 2 weeks later, they implemented a 4-way stop at that intersection. And since then, there's been a drastic reduction in accidents. And if there is an accident, it's at a much lower speed.
You said 9 miles to the west of you. Does that mean
Correct.
that that's a different set of legislators?
Yes, that is a different set of legislators.
Okay. So those legislators were able to get something done 2 weeks after a major accident there, and you are still waiting on yours. Can you explain? I mean, some people may wonder, okay, what is the difference between a fire department versus a fire protection district?
So a fire protection district, we are our own taxing body, and we are governed by the Illinois Fire Protection District Act. And our fire protection district was founded in May of 1974. We are governed by a board of 5 elected trustees. We're a separate entity from the Village of Beecher, and we cover, like I said, we cover 56 square miles. That's the Village of Beecher, all of Washington Township, and a small portion of Will Township. And our population is roughly about 8,000 people.
Chief, how long have you been with the protection district?
I have been with the district for 21 years. I have been the chief since 2018.
Mm-hmm. And is this, I mean, if you're giving me 3 of your biggest concerns, is this, where does this fall?
This is number 1.
Wow. Okay, well, I feel like this warrants a bigger story, quite honestly. We need to be following up with these legislators that you spoke of as to why nothing has been done there at that intersection, especially if you've brought up the same statistics, the same data that you brought to us here for Chicago Live. If you've brought that to them and still nothing has been done, I think that warrants us making some more phone calls. But thank you so much for your time. We certainly appreciate being able to hear your concerns, this top concern for you. And I think that we'll be circling back.
Thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. You be safe and have a good weekend.
Thank you. You as well.
It's about 2:30, everyone. We're going to take a 2-minute break and we'll be back. We are anticipating a conversation about a major find for a Downers Grove store. So give us 2 minutes and we'll be back with that conversation. $2.31, and occasionally a card shop comes across a massive find. And in Downers Grove, Mark's Card Shop has done just that. I want to bring in the owner, Mark. Mark, pronounce your last name for me. Gronick, okay. Wanted you to say it, so I didn't murder it. Thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks for having me, Anita. Appreciate you.
Tell me about this card.
It was something else. Let me tell you, last week, Topps had a big release, the 75th anniversary of their flagship product. And, you know, this 17-year-old kid rolled into our store, and he's a little young entrepreneur. He sells on Whatnot, and he bought himself a hobby box, and he pulled the pull of his life. It was an All Kings Ohtani card with estimates around $5,000, but, you know, that's just the beginning. You have to sell it to obviously make your profit, but definitely a sweet pull.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you said he was a teenager. Did he even like understand what was going on?
Oh boy, did he ever. He actually sprang up and he's like, case hit. And then everyone in the shop looked at him. Now, mind you, there is also a redemption that Topps put in this product where you can pull a 1952 Mickey Mantle card.
Ooh.
So when he said that, everyone froze, and it was like, oh boy, this is going to be life changing for everyone. But it was the All Kings Ohtani, which was still one of the biggest hits pulled in the world that week for this product. Topps reposted it. It was just a magical moment, but he definitely knew. He knew before we did.
I love it. I love it. And so as I'm seeing, these cards are one in every 13,836 hobby packs.
Yeah, the odds are astronomical. And believe it or not, there is a one-of-one version of this, meaning there's a true one-of-a-kind version of this card with the one-of-one stamp on it. That card would probably buy a house. He didn't pull that card, but it was still an epic pull for him in the shop.
Now, you said would probably buy a house. What for that particular card, the one of one, but for this card, what are we looking at?
It's like 5,000, 10,000 if you get it graded. So not a bad chunk of change. Yeah.
If you're a teenager, that's the house.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say it's more than I got in my pocket. So I mean, I was sitting there looking at it in shock. There was other people there, and that's the best part when you pull a big hit, or any hit. Maybe it's a meaningful hit, your favorite player. Everyone in the shop gets to enjoy that with you. It's truly what makes our hobby special.
What a moment! Now, be it that it is your hobby, have you been a part of a moment like that before?
Yes. Actually, in 2022, if you check our Instagram, Mark's Card Shop, if you got to scroll down a bit, but I pulled a card of Mac Jones, one-of-one superfractor.
Ooh.
And at the time, Mac Jones was supposed to be the next time Tom Brady. It didn't exactly work out that way, but we still sold it for $17,000. So it was quite the pull.
Oh my goodness. And I guess today, what would be some other cards that you would hope somebody might find at Mark's Card Shop?
Well, I will tell you the Topps promotion with the 52 mantle, just like imagine finding that card in a modern hobby box. That would be epic. I mean, that would put me on the map forever. But there's a lot. Obviously to me, there was a big sale recently. Logan Paul and Golden Auctions did this $15 million Pokemon card sale, the Illustrator card. Now you can't pull that card out of a box, but something of that significance, some 52 mantle or a one-of-one Ohtani, something like that would certainly supersede this hit. But this was obviously the pull of a lifetime. Most collectors will not experience any type of pull like the one this kid pulled last week.
So what advice did you give to the teenager after this moment?
Well, first things first, don't do anything. Don't go sell it. Don't do that. I'm not going to offer on it. Don't worry. It's one of those things like everyone thinks in like the movies, like, oh, Mark offers $100, but no, I didn't ask to buy it. I want him to enjoy it, savor the moment. And then, in our industry, a lot of people will grade cards, and that process can add value if you grade it and it gets a gem mint grading, and that could add value. So I told him just take some time. Maybe you want to grade it through Mark's Card Shop. That'd be my advice.
Okay, now tell me how you got into all of this.
So, boy, it feels like I've been in it forever. But we started the shop June of 2021, following a 12-year sales career that I was just about done with. I was in 7 or 8 different industries. I'm just so blessed to have a great wife, honestly, to allow me to try and do this. We didn't have the money or anything. I just had the passion, and I was making money for other people doing sales. So I said, hey, I'm going to give this a try. I've loved sports cards ever since I've been a kid. And I'm very grateful that I, took that leap 5 years ago. We have a great community at Mark's Card Shop. And if you've never been there, please come check us out. We're open 7 days a week.
Okay. And now tell me this. What are your thoughts on Shohei Ohtani?
Wow. It's funny because someone came in the other day and they were like, Mark, you gave me a deal 2 years ago on a Shohei Ohtani card. And I just was sitting there shaking my head. I'm like, if there's one player you never give a deal for, and I'm sorry, Michael Jordan and Shohei Ohtani, because he is the modern day Babe Ruth. We don't throw around the term generational player lightly, but he is a generational talent. And, if you can get your hands on an Ohtani rookie, I would buy one. And that's the thing. There isn't just one Ohtani rookie. There's multiple, and there's some that are $100 or less. And then there's some that buy houses. So, you can participate in the hobby even if you don't have millions of dollars. You just got to go find your card, and we're here to help you with that.
In doing what you do you like go to conferences for this? Like, tell me how you kind of build it up.
Absolutely. This business and this hobby, it's all about connections and networking. We're blessed here in Chicagoland to have the National Card Show. It's not every year in Chicago, but it's often at the Rosemont Convention Center. In fact, it's this year at the end of July. And if you want to see a spectacle, 100,000 plus people will embark to the National Card Show that weekend. And it just shows you the passion that this industry has. And there's plenty more. And frankly, there's card shows every weekend. Orland Park has a card show. We did one in Batavia recently. Downers Grove, you name it. I'm sure you can find a card show. And if you don't know where to look, just come to the shop. We got plenty of information about local card shows that are great to go to. And then also those bigger shows, that kind of get you a little more connected, where you can talk to other people in the industry you might not run into around here.
And obviously a rare find at your shop boost your profile even more. I mean, it is the reason why we're talking. Do any downsides come with that, though?
Oh, certainly. With our shop, we're blessed because of just how we run it. We're not a shop that has got millions of dollars of inventory, and we're super worried about security like a lot of shops are around the country right now. There have been some break-ins and whatnot. And, the biggest thing is, when you do put something out there like that, that is something a hobby shop is always going to be thinking about, right? Like, it's always, any exposure is good exposure, but unfortunately lately there have been a lot of these types of things happening with card shops because of the potential inventory that these shops have. Again, thankfully, the way we structured our shop, and we're more family, community driven, and we're 2 blocks from the police, we are well situated. So I'm not concerned about that. It's actually all good news for me. It's nice to get people to reach out and say, hey, I saw that video on Tops and that was so cool. Do you have any more hobby boxes? And it's been fun. It's a part of the business that I enjoy a lot. It's funny, the odd question sometimes people ask me is like, when they see a big hit, they're like, oh, were you disappointed? And it's like, what are you even talking about? Like, how could you have any other emotion but excitement for the person? And obviously I wouldn't be disappointed. There'd be no reason to be. So.
Well, you'd be disappointed because it's not you.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like it's someone pulled it in my shop. I'm elated. I'm good with it.
That's wonderful. And was that young man a Downers Grove resident, or had he come from afar?
Yes, we do get a lot of people coming from the surrounding suburbs. Definitely a lot of support though from our local community in Downers, and he is a local. It's a great community. If you haven't been to Downers Grove, beautiful downtown. We're a few blocks off the main drag, and this nice little downtown that seems to be growing every day. And it's good to see when a local gets it. But hey, if you pop in and you're from Florida and you get a big hit, I'll be just as happy for you.
And I guess, I'm thinking like, were his parents with him? I would think, sometimes some of our hobbies, sometimes your parents can be like, oh, why are we putting money into this hobby, until you get a hit like that?
Oh, certainly. One of the funny things recently has been like, a lot of parents will come up to me like, Mark, I love this. Like, the kids aren't on their phone. They're sitting here, they're talking numbers, they're negotiating and trading with each other, and they're not buying Fortnite skins. So like, our life has dramatically improved, and I'm just sitting there laughing like, yeah, every hobby is going to come with some expenses, but we love our hobby for many different reasons. And it's a wonderful hobby. And ultimately there could be other things they're spending money on. So it's genuinely good feedback from parents. But of course, when you hear all these massive numbers and all this money being thrown around, you have to throw some caution to the wind. Everyone has different budgets and everyone has different experiences they're looking to have. My biggest thing is finding out what the person's into. Like, if you're a Chicago Bears fan, I'm not going to be like, hey, open this pack, try and pull a Bears card. I'm going to be like, you see that cool Matt Forte auto we have in the case right there? You should get that, or you should look into some of the autographs we already have. And figuring out what the customer wants, and that best serves them anyway.
Mark, great chatting with you. I love people who are passionate about what they do, and it is so abundantly apparent with you.
Thank you, Anita. I hope this isn't the last time. I hope to be on again soon. I appreciate the invite. And yeah, come on by Mark's Card Shop anytime, open 7 days a week. We'd love to have you guys. Even if you're not in the hobby, you just want to come out and hang out, we'd love to have you.
You seem like great people to hang out with. So thank you so much again for joining us here on Chicago Live. Who knows what the future will hold for Mark's Card Shop.
Thank you, Anita. Have a great day.
All
Bye,
right.
everybody. Have a good weekend.
And take care. Have a great weekend, everyone. It's 2:43. We're waiting on our next conversation here. Our guests are getting ready to log in, and we're going to go from, checking on what's going on in Downers Grove to a summit that's going to be taking place on the South Side here in Chicago very soon, this weekend. And it's of the utmost importance. When we talk to men who are, even for Mark and the teenager who came in there and the hobbies that they are in the midst of celebrating and being passionate about and talking through, community matters. Having the opportunities to have people around you, to have those light moments, to cheer you on for your successes, or even to walk you through the tougher times. All of those things really matter. And so this particular summit that's going to be happening on the South Side this weekend is to check on men and their mental health. And I think this is just so incredibly important because men can be caught in the optics of what society puts on them, that they're supposed to be strong, that they can't open up and talk about their feelings, that they can't have feelings. But it's important for them to smile too. It's important for them to have outlets too. It's important for them to have community as well, and to have people who will cheer them on or walk them through the tougher times. So we're going to talk with the Kenwood Oakland Community Organization about their summit that they are hosting this weekend. Khalil Cotton and Eric Elliott are on the line right now. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having us here. How y'all doing?
Doing very well. Great to see you all. And tell me why you created this summit.
So we created this summit. Well, it was brought to us by an older person in our organization that's been around Coco for a long time, and he had went through some health problems that he had himself, and he brought it to us like, hey, we can create this men's health summit for us to empower the young people in our community and also the seniors, and just inform them on physical, mental, and emotional health as well.
Mm-hmm. Those things are so important, and I'm so glad that through having that conversation, you all didn't just leave it at a conversation, but took it to the next level to create this. Tell me about the work that went into creating a full weekend summit.
So this is actually the second summit we had. The first one was just a test run. We wanted to see how it went. We had invited high schools, elementary schools, and it's been about 7, 8 months since we did that summit. And now this is the second one. It's been more powerful, more engaging. We spent months getting real doctors here, we got enough resources here for the young people and seniors in the community to be exposed to. And there's just a whole bunch of stuff that they'll be able to take home with them. Also, we spent a lot of time just getting a bunch of activities we have.
I'm so proud of you all for doing this, and happy for you all to be able to take it to the next level and continue to grow what you all are doing. Tell me about some of the activities. Like if somebody is participating this weekend, tell me about what you offer them for this summit.
Yeah. So there's a ton of different things we're doing with the young men and the seniors of our community that came to the summit. So a few of the things were started off with a nice little panel discussion. We brought doctors out, surgeons, mental health doctors, nutritionists, and they spoke and they talked about the different importance of those areas. And then we had things as resource tables that came out from different organizations involved around health. And they came out, and our participants were able to go to these tables and talk with these resources and find out what's available to them in the community. And then we did a bunch of other things like yoga, meditation, things to kind of bond and bond us together, you know, and it was great. It was really fun.
Mm-hmm. A large part of this is breaking stigmas, as I was kind of saying before I came to you. Tell me about some of the stigmas that you hope to break through this summit.
For me personally, a stigma that I want to break is that we know that some of the problems we have as men and just African American people in general is diabetes. All of this is the diabetes, cancers, prostate, lung. All of this is through our lifestyle. We learned that most of the problems that happen to us are through our lifestyle, happen through our lifestyle. So I want to break that stigma that we can change our lifestyle to be better and increase our life expectancy as well.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about some others.
Can you repeat that?
Go ahead. Tell me about some other stigmas that you're hoping to break.
I mean, so yeah, going off like what Khalil was saying about that, that we can change our own lifestyle, but there's also, I mean, other areas. I mean, like, give me a quick second.
That's a great question.
That is. Let me see. So I was going to go with what you said. Let me see.
Well, I could pick up another stigma that we would like to break is giving men that feeling of having people that they can come to about something that's going on with them. So, Coco, we put this event on. Now people know, like, hey, I know they focus on this men's health summit. Are they able to connect me to this doctor or to this resource or help me with how I'm feeling emotionally? So that's another stigma. Make sure that men have that access to have that responsibility on having people with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How many people did you have in the first summit, and how are you expecting to grow that this time around? How many people are you anticipating this time around?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. How many people did you have at the first summit, and how are you expecting to grow those numbers?
So the first summit, it was about 25 people, some elementary, still some seniors in the community, and we still had about 4 to 5 resources that came. But this summit, we doubled. Our goal was to hit 50. We hit the 50 mark, and we were able to do that through different high schools and other seniors in the community that came to support this event.
Well, I truly love what you all are doing. I hope that, as you continue this, that you're able to get more and more resources, that more and more people hear about what you're doing and want to be connected to what you're doing because it's needed, it's necessary. The conversations are very important. You are very important. And I'm so glad that you took some time to join me here on Chicago Live to talk to us about it.
Of course, we appreciate the opportunity to spread the word about men's health awareness.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful weekend. It's 2:51, everyone. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back, everyone. It's 2:54, and let me tell you about some of the things that we've lined up for our 3 o'clock hour. We have several conversations, so we're going to start them a little ahead of time so that we can fit them all in here. We are anticipating throughout this hour getting to Sleep Out for Homelessness, another very important organization that's doing a great thing this weekend. We actually have several events that are happening this weekend that we're trying to highlight before we get out of here at 4 o'clock. So Sleep Out for Homelessness is one of them. We're also going to talk about the Gentle Warrior Awards, and that's going to take us to the Pullman Porters Museum. It is a wonderful place of such historic relevance. We're in the midst of Black History Month, and this is a place that's right here, a resource for you to get more educated in our area, 365 throughout the year. So that we're going to talk a little bit about their Gentle Warrior Awards before the 4 o'clock hour as well. That should be around 3:30. We're also going to have a conversation about a few troubling issues today as well. One of them, we expect to have our own Casey Cronus on. If you know, she's been staying on for the past couple of days, what's been going on in one of the suburbs in Hinsdale. But today, she kind of switched over as they have been updating us in other ways on what's happening in Hinsdale. The man that we told you about yesterday was in court today, so we'll give you an update on that. But she switched over to Vernon Hills, and the company, the small company that really was at the root of this case that went all the way up to the Supreme Court when it comes to President Trump's tariffs. Now, the president has already said he's looking at other ways, an executive order in terms of still imposing tariffs. But this company that has learning resources for children, they were at the root of it all. And so we're circling back with them. I'll also ask Casey about the other case that she was working on today. We're going to talk about the books bonanza that's happening this weekend for young boys in our area. But first and foremost, we want to get to this conversation again, another troubling conversation, but a necessary conversation that we need to have about an accident that recently happened in our area, or let me say an incident that recently happened in our area that has a lot of questions still surrounding it right now. So the Boone County Coroner's Office has now identified the man who died in a small plane crash in Poplar Grove. This was on Saturday. Now, we do the news of a plane crash. It's a horrible event. You're thinking like, oh my goodness, what caused this plane to go down? What happened here? We don't see it every day, but we see it enough to be concerned. Anytime a plane comes out of the air. But after the man was identified, there were a slew of questions that came to us after that. And so I want to go ahead and bring in Ann Andrews, attorney Ann Andrews, the founding partner of Andrews and Higgins, for this conversation. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having us on to discuss this tragedy and the tragedy of our clients. And where would you like me to start?
So we found out the identification of the man in the plane crash. And how quickly did you receive a phone call to connect the identity of the man in the plane crash to a case that you were already covering?
Well, we learned on the 16th. So Richard C. McClung of Rockford, Illinois, crashed the plane on Valentine's Day into a home in Poplar Grove, nearby to Rockford. And we learned almost immediately from social media that this had occurred. Obviously, he is a defendant in a very high profile case in the federal court in Chicago, alleging the federal sex trafficking statute against himself and other authorities of the organization where this all occurred within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in the ward in Rockford, Illinois. So it was, anytime this happens, a major event of this type, the re-traumatization of victims, we immediately had to reach out to our clients. And, I think what your viewers should understand is that one of the things that victims of sexual assault look forward to, as evidenced in all the important testimony and appearances by the Epstein victims and other victims, is that being able to address the abuser, the predator, and get closure on this of a lifetime of suffering, since these acts happened when these women were children, is very important to their healing process and to their psychological well-being. And that's not going to occur. So though he killed himself, they called it on Facebook unalived, because suicide is not permitted on that social media outlet, but it was actually a suicide in relation to the according to sources on the internet, that it was committed in reaction to new allegations of sexual assault. And our law firm had brought recent cases, and we know of no other recent cases. So we believe that he was reacting and in fear of the prosecution of these claims in civil court, in the federal courts, about what he had done to these young women, these children.
And of course, we have no knowledge of, for sure, what was going through his mind, or how exactly the plane, or why exactly the plane went down. But you do have some background in terms of an audio recording, I believe. Is that correct?
Well, so all of this is under investigation. And what we know is that there is an organization that purports to have a statement from him about what I just said, that he did this in reaction to recent cases alleging his sex crimes on children, our clients, not necessarily our clients, but alleging these crimes in the civil setting. And it was recorded by an organization known as the DTSB that was reported on social media. And it's interesting, the DTSB is a nonprofit organization that collects information about the causes and issues surrounding plane crashes. It's a nonprofit organization. They simply recorded in some fashion what he said. We have reached out to them. If we have to use the legal process to get the recording, that's certainly available to us, as it is to any person in litigation. But this statement, if made, is going to be recorded by them. So they take full responsibility in saying on their website that we've reached out to the organization, that they don't claim to be experts about the cause or determining the cause or liability of a fault of a plane crash, but that they do have information about what they received. So we'll be getting to the bottom of that through the court proceedings.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go back in time here, because we're talking about a man named Richard McClung. And I'm using his name because even though there are certain things that are under investigation, he was a convicted sex offender. And
Yes.
There are multiple instances of that took place throughout the years, beginning almost 20 years ago, that at least that we know of.
That's correct. He was convicted in 2006. The case and the conviction was on appeal, and there is an appellate ruling that affirmed the conviction. And very dramatic case, in the sense that he said some very, very bizarre things in his appellate in the record that went to appeal. And we hear, and we, as a firm that does these cases across the country and has many examples of what a predator says about what happened in their sentencing and in their trials, this man actually said that he did not commit these crimes upon the children for his own sexual gratification. This is in the record, but he performed these acts on children for their sexual gratification. And these were girls as young as 8 years old. So this man was truly a predator of children. We know that, and we are in touch with several more victims of this man's predatory behavior. Where it happened and how it happened in relation to the organization that he was an official in, and that role that he played in this church, is the subject of this litigation. His his unaliving himself, to use the social media term, his suicide, will not impede us going forward against those that kept him in a position of authority over children and how this occurred, which is a great tragedy. And I'd like to thank ChicagoLIVE and you from our firm, on behalf of our firm, that we are hearing from other witnesses to this man's assault. He did have a history and a conviction of sexual assault against children, but remained within the organization, as we've alleged in our complaint. And we'd like to hear from other victims. I mean, it's very important at this time. And since the Epstein case and since the Weinstein case, and so many things have shed light that have given victims the courage to come forward when it is so difficult for most people, has sort of changed how many people are willing to now come forward. And I think it's probably important that your viewers in the area should know is that oftentimes if there is a death, and the predators often are either killed while in jail, in custody, maybe on the eve of trial of an important criminal matter or civil matter, he decided to end his life a little early, considering what normally happens. And if people have information, if they know other people who were harmed by this man, we really hope that you will come forward and tell us about what you know, because it's so important to investigate these cases. And though he's not going to abuse another child, we have reason to believe there are many, many victims. And this national crime statistics bear out that predators get a large number of victims. They tell courts oftentimes in sentencing hearings, it was just the once, Your Honor, I promise. But, skilled prosecutors and some that work for this firm know all too well that the arc of a predator's existence and how many victims they get is many, many, many before they're dead, severed from the organization, or in jail. So we'd like to hear from other victims, because we believe that it's very important that those that were aware of what this man was doing and how long he did it and his ability to do it in this organization needs to be further investigated, including potentially more criminal charges. Yeah. So we really appreciate the opportunity to talk to your viewers in this manner, and hope that more will come forward, as we've seen so many examples of this.
Well, listen, if we can be a part of more people coming forward to have some semblance of justice, then I'm grateful that we have this platform to have this conversation. This man was 83 years old when this plane went down. So by and large, he lived a full life. How frustrating is it even to you that when you look back over his criminal history, you see, oh, he received 4 years of probation here. Oh, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison here. I mean, just over and over here when we're talking about such heinous crimes here to children over the years, and even him saying he had an addiction.
So I think the protection of children, prosecutors, judges, and all those in the justice system, criminal and civil, are looking at these cases and the seriousness of allowing them probation as opposed to true incarceration to protect public and to protect children from them probably has taken on a whole new light. We'd like to see these predators prosecuted and given the stiffest sentence possible, because the public, as I want to relate back to again, we know now how many victims there were of Jeffrey Epstein, and nobody knew that until the light's shining in on all the facts we're learning now and how many people knew about it, how many people participated. Predators that have this type of a disease, a mental defect, a psychopathology, don't stop unless they're stopped. And we want to bring awareness to all organizations, and especially to those that are not stopping people who have known criminal history from having access to children, that we need to be vigilant. We need to protect our children. And if the organizations we belong to, the institutions where our children are taught, pray, educated, play sports, if the parents don't require more vigilance and more control over these predators. And there are simple things to put in place to protect children, that no children should ever be alone with an adult. These are things that youth organizations around the country have put in place to protect all of our children, and that youth organizations should thrive and should be able and churches should be able to thrive and protect children while they're also doing their mission of religion and youth education and youth, all the activities we think of as being where our children can safely go to learn and grow. And I think children should be safe at church. And the lawsuit is starting into the intense part of the discovery. It's just beginning. So to have this happen and I will say more about the effect on the survivors, they're devastated. It's like they're re-traumatized again, that they will not be able to confront him. They will not be able to see him in court and be there and have him be present while they prosecute their cases in the courts in Chicago. So though his life is over, the manner in which it's over and what he said on the way out may establish some evidence that is admissible in court. It's too soon to say for sure, but this man was convicted and he did receive a criminal penalty. So we have a record, we have a history, we know who he was. And so the investigation and the discovery and the legal setting in which it will occur is ongoing, that will reveal more. And we'd be happy to report back, as the case goes on, what exactly his role was in this organization. We understand and have alleged that he was not just a regular member who was, sneaking in and around and getting children. He had a high position in the church. He sat alongside the highest people in the church, a bishop and a stake president. He had a position of high authority. Why did he have it? How did he have access to children? Who was watching him? Because he was in this ward assaulting children with them, as we've alleged, knowing that he was a convicted sexual predator. We just are in the beginning of the case, and this turn of events of a man essentially committing suicide by crashing his plane into a home is an incredibly difficult thing for them to endure. So out of respect to our clients, we're not using their names today, but they are on file. They do have strong feelings about what is happening and what will happen next. Yeah. As do we. Our law firm, Andrews and Higgins, seeks justice for children across the country, and this is a very dramatic and important case to your community. And we want to bring attention to it in the hope that the other victims and witnesses to this man's crimes will come forward.
Mm-hmm. I can't even imagine what the victims are going through right now. And yes, you mentioned, the Harvey Weinstein case, and of course that brought about the Me Too movement, and there was some forward momentum there through it. You mentioned Epstein, and yet Epstein is no longer here either. Some of his victims, even one of the most vocal victims, is no longer with us. I mean, these types of actions have such weight on someone's life as a victim. I can't even imagine them feeling like we don't even get our day in court now.
Well, as a matter of fact, exactly what you're referring to prevents a lot of young women from coming forward. And that's the biggest tragedy, because they're so afraid. There's so much self-blame and self-doubt, and the fear that they have to re-examine what happened keeps people from coming forward. And actually the attacks on them, the denying what happened, the denying children were telling the truth. It is a different time. Victims are being believed, and the court system is doing a very good job of protecting their rights and making these cases important, because we know as society that this isn't going to stop unless we as a society take action to stop it. And because in the United States we have a civil justice system they don't have in other countries, we know that justice can be served, and we can stop the behavior that's causing this in the court system, with the fairness and the justice that's equal to both parties. We just are very grateful that our civil justice system and in our Constitution, the civil case the Seventh Amendment allows victims in the United States, where we believe in this system so much and have invested so much in it, that they have their right to have their day in court. And a lot of countries, they don't. So I think it's important, particularly for your viewers, to understand what a great system of justice we have, that this remedy is not available in other courts, in other countries, in countries that we respect, that we consider, having great legal systems. A victim cannot pursue these kinds of claims. So we're very aware in the United States of the privilege of having access to one of the best court systems, if not the best court system in the world. And the federal system will move swiftly. It has goals for cases like this. There are orders in place to move the cases. And we're just very fortunate to have a system of justice that is swift and takes care of the litigants and is fair to both sides. And it's a rare thing in the world. So thank you to those founders of the Constitution and the Seventh Amendment, recognizing it. And it is zealously guarded as a right of civil litigants, that that the founding fathers put it in the Constitution is a great honor to our system of justice that is seen every day in the court system across the country.
Well, I'm grateful that we had the opportunity to have this conversation. As I said, my heart goes out to those who were victimized that now have to go through this. But I do hope that more people are hearing your words right now than have heard them before. And if they have been in the same or similar situations, that they will reach out to you very soon. It is particularly troubling to hear that someone was allowed to continue to be a leader in the community who was also listed as a lifetime registrant on the sex offender list here in the state of Illinois.
Well, and to be clear, that's what we've alleged. There's a complaint on file. The formal discovery, which is what we call the process of revealing facts under oath, is going forward. But we do believe that he was in a position of authority, and we've alleged that in our court proceedings, in our cases, that he was in a position of authority over children. He was assigned responsibility in the young men's organization, in primary children's organizations, and he oversaw many youth activities. And, I'll leave you with another kind of haunting thought that is just, still under investigation, but we do believe, and it has been shared with us, that the very plane that he crashed, or one like it, because he owned more than one, was actually his method of grooming these children. I'll take you up in my airplane, and, what excitement that young girl and the attention that she must have felt to have a special opportunity to go flying. And that we believe that of the many places where he assaulted children, it may have also been in the plane that he decided to kill himself in.
Well, the more we know, the worse it gets.
Yes, and those facts will be discovered, but it's a case of great importance, and there were many victims of this man's crimes.
Glad that there won't be any more. But thank you so much for your time, and please keep us updated.
I so appreciate and thank you, Shay, for allowing us to come on and talk about this tragedy, in the hopes that our clients will feel some sense of healing by you allowing us to talk about this. Brings them a sense of relief and support, that they are believed, and that this tragedy is not yet over completely, but part of it is. Thank you again for your time and consideration.
Mm-hmm. Take care. It's about 3:18 right now. We're going to take a quick break. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. It's 3:20 right now, and what I think I value the most about the expanded time that we have here on the show is that, yes, we have to get into some conversations that are important, but difficult at times. But we also have the time to get to some things that just make us smile, just give us the warm fuzzies inside. And so we're going to talk about a boys' book bonanza that is happening this weekend. Ches Smith is the founder and joining me now.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Now, listen, I looked at the name and I said, now, is this the same person from Girls in the Hood?
Yes, it is me. I have a love for the girls and the boys.
We love it. You do wonderful things here in the city of Chicago. And yes, usually we're talking to you about the things that you are doing for young women in this area. But this weekend, you're specifically trying to highlight making sure that literacy is something that is important to our young men, which it critically is.
Yes, it critically is, and it's so important, just like with the girls, to start early with the boys. And so Brilliant Brown Boys Book Club, we have been around now for about 5 years, providing access to culturally relevant books with positive Black characters to boys here in Chicago, and not just Chicago, Texas, New York, New Jersey, so many different places. And, we're just really excited about Boys Book Bonanza that's happening tomorrow to continue our mission of providing that access to boys.
Where do people need to go for this? And what are you hoping that space will provide?
Yeah, so I want the boys to come in and have a good time reading books. I want them bonding over books with other boys. This is going to be a festive atmosphere for them. We have books, amazing books with positive Black characters from local authors here in Chicago that we're happy about. But we also have a variety of books here. It's going to be something here for everybody. Teenage boys, baby boys. We even have books for moms who have little boys in the womb, baby books to read to your boys. And so, we're really just promoting literacy, letting boys know that reading is cool, regardless of what you want to be, in your career. You got to have this literacy down pat, right? And so we do reading circles at Brilliant Brown Boys Book Club because we know that reading is the first step, but also comprehension. Do you understand what it is that you're reading? And so if you could be a fly on the wall at one of our sessions and just hear these boys stating their opinions and pulling information from the text and things like that on a leisurely basis. That's what we're all about, because we know we have the academic side, but we really want to promote leisurely reading amongst Black boys in the city. And that's what we've been doing. And tomorrow we're just going to have a great day of doing that on a community level. I'm really excited about the book bonanza.
I think this is awesome. As I usually think about your ideas of things to bring to kids in the city, you also do like a barbershop literacy program for these young men. Tell me a little bit about that and the importance of going to where they are.
Yes. Oh, yes. That is the most important thing. And so we have Fades Frozen Books. That's our barbershop literacy program. And so what we do is partner with barbershops and set up these little library stations in there, little book stations. So the boy come in, he select the book, he read it while he's waiting for his cut. And then when he get in the chair, the barber asks him just a few questions about the book, and at the end of the visit, he gets a prize, whether it's a gift card or a little toys that we have in there, and gets to keep the book. So it's a really sneaky way for me to, get them reading or to continue reading. But yeah, because, when we go to the beauty shop, you have the magazines and things there. But hey, the boys need to be reading too. And so our barbershop literacy program is so cool. I love it. I'm so grateful for the barbers that participate. And we are looking for new barbers as well. So, but yeah, Fades Frozen Books. That's our barbershop literacy program.
I think it's wonderful. Now, I would love to know why you decided to create these spaces for young men in the city. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious and a pretty easy link for a woman who, grows up in the city to want to give back to young girls in the city. But why young men in the city?
Well, I am a mom. I have a son. And actually, the idea started in his classroom. I was there volunteering one day, and the teacher said, everybody go get books from the shelf. We're going to do, a reading, a story time. And the girls were running over to the books, and the boys were stomping their feet and moaning and groaning. They just were not happy, okay, including my son. And so, I talked to him afterward. I'm like, what's that all about? And he just, boys were just tending to look at reading as a punishment, and didn't really see the fun part about it. It's it brings out of you and things like that. And so I said, let me see what I could do about that. So he and I, came up with the name, and we just started having these book club sessions. We brought on some amazing male educators from around the city to join in. And that's the way that we started. And it's just been going and going since then.
You're amazing. And choosing the books like the ones that you have behind you, you talked about maybe having some local authors, but what is the importance of choosing these books, choosing these authors to speak to these young men?
Yes, it's so empowering for the boys to come in. We're going to give them brilliant bucks when they come in to select and utilize here. But just to be able to see someone on a book cover that looks like you, right? To read the story and you can relate to that and say, hey, I went through that before. Oh, that's a great idea. It's so important for the boys to see themselves, to have positive representation in the books that they read. And so it's, that's the beautiful part about it, when they click and when they can relate, and then now they want to read another one. When is the next book coming out? Mm-hmm. When they know the author's name, they're asking me, did Derrick Barnes get a new book? Things like that. So I just think that if we encourage our boys and on their reading journey and model the behavior in the home, it's so cool when they see their dads reading, their uncles reading. So we're hoping tomorrow that we have dads bringing the boys in, we have uncles, look, the big homies, everybody. Grab a boy in your life and bring them to the book bonanza. It's just such a beautiful thing for the boys to see and model.
How do you have time for all of this?
I don't know. You know what? It's so fun. I love my work that I do for the boys and the girls. It's so rewarding. I love it. And so that makes it so much easier.
Mm-hmm. And what does it mean to you to be able to impact so many lives in the city?
I don't want to cry on 32, but yeah, it's really rewarding for me. Just the little things, when you see the boys light up about different things, or when the girls come in and they've gotten admitted to a college that they didn't think that they were worthy enough to go to in the first place. Things like that. That's my jam. And so I feel fortunate to be able to serve the beautiful boys and girls in Chicago.
Well, you're changing lives. You're helping to break cycles. You are empowering our next generation. And we all owe a debt of gratitude to you for that. I wanted to focus on the boys today, but just so you all know, that Girls in the Hood program, look it up. It's H.O.D. What she is doing through both of these programs is truly tremendous. And my hat's off to you. I think the world of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Take care. Have a good weekend. And I hope that everyone comes out here to 605 East 71st Street in Chicago for the Boys Book Bonanza. All right, everyone, we're preparing for our next conversation, but I'm just so glad, again, that we have the opportunity to highlight some great folks who are here in the city doing tremendous things, and Ches definitely is one of those people. We've had her on the show before, like I said, to talk about, and that was on Good Day Chicago. This is her first time on Chicago Live, but to talk about what she's doing for young girls in the city. And now, someone who has a son who sees a need for young boys in the city. creating so many different opportunities for young men in the city as well. I often say when I'm speaking at different events that a lot of times doing what we do for a living in news, you get to see the problems in society, but it gives me such joy to be able to talk to the problem solvers, the people who take it upon themselves to do the work, to get in the community, and to work one-on-one with our youth in a positive, safe environment, because we've already seen earlier in the broadcast how youth can end up in situations where they're taken advantage of, but to put them in positive, safe environments where they can grow, where they can thrive, and where they can have some people around them to cheer them on. Right now, it is 3:30, and we're switching gears here. Okay, so we're going to go to actually a group of people who are now awarding some of those courageous people who are in our community. So switching from the people who deserve the awards, like Chaz, to those who are giving the awards. And this is from a historic group at that. So the awards that are happening this weekend are the Gentle Warrior Awards. It's a gala that's happening, and it's at the Chicago Pullman Porter Museum, of all places here, as they are celebrating a 31st anniversary. David Peterson Jr., who is Chicago's Pullman Porter Museum president, is joining me now. Thank you so much for your time. I think that you're on mute right now. I don't know if it's on our end or yours.
I know that I'm on mute right now, but pardon me about that. How are you? Happy Friday. Hope
Happy
well.
Friday. Happy Friday. Look, I would be even more excited if that Rattler weren't behind you. I'm a Hampton grad, so I was like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait. No, put it back on mute. No, I'm playing. So let's talk.
It's all HBCU love.
It's just HBCU love, and it will always be little pokes there, here and there. But tell me about the Gentle Warrior Awards.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're celebrating the 31st anniversary of the National A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porter Museum. We're really excited about that. And the gala is actually at the Wintrust Grand Banking Hall downtown, Chicago's financial district. So we're really excited about that. We're excited about the opportunity not only to celebrate the world's first and only Black Labor History Museum that honors the world's first and only Black Labor Union to receive a charter under the American Federation of Labor during Black History Month, but we're excited about all of the different people that we have an opportunity to honor during Black History Month. So we're excited about the people in labor and in the community. And, they're all just adding to this legacy. Mm-hmm. And, as we're moving forward with the expansion of the museum, which is actually, ironically, the Jesse Jackson Civil Rights Wing. And before he made his transition, he had an opportunity to come by and bless us.
Wow.
You know what I mean? With his blessing of making that wing dedicated to him. So we're really excited that he got to have his flowers while he was here. So, I definitely want to send condolences to the family, say rest well and rest in power to that young man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the timing of that as he's making his transition was amazing, that you all will now have this wing dedicated to a man who's done so much in our city and throughout the world.
Absolutely. The irony of that is I actually was raised in the Rainbow Push Coalition. I was a part of the Youth Coalition. I actually met... Sorry about that. Little blooper there. I actually met him in 1988 when he was running for president.
Yes.
In Hyde Park at the neighborhood racquetball club. You know what I mean? So that was like a pivotal moment for me. And then moving fast forward, when he had an opportunity to come to the one and only Florida A&M University and come visit us. So that was, definitely a pivotal moment for me as well. So, like I say, we're moving fast forward and we're all just doing our part to preserve Black history, heritage, and culture, and make sure that we protect, interpret, and make sure that people understand why it's important, especially, again, centered around labor. The A. Philip Randolph and the Pullman Porters were very, very instrumental in organizing and being the grandfathers of the civil rights movement. So these are the gentlemen that were the mentors of people like Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson, and those people. They're the ones that actually organized the March on Washington in 1963.
It's amazing history and the passing of the baton that continues to happen and needs to continue to happen. Tell me a little bit about the honorees for tonight.
Yeah, so we have a lot of them. Some of them are from labor unions. Some are from community. Our descendant of distinction is Tracy Murray. She's Chief of Staff for Alderman Beal in the 9th Ward. We have Sherman Dilla, who's going to be getting a Change Agent Award. We have Kim Dupuclay, State Rep. We have just a lot of great people. And for all of those details, we would encourage people to go to aprgentlewarriorAwards.com and be able to see it. Tickets are actually sold out right now, unfortunately, but you can still tune in. You can go to our page on Facebook and, see it live throughout the night. Our PR person makes sure we make sure that we are able to show people what's going on. And we really just want people to get involved with the movement. This is, although we're under construction right now, the Pullman Porter Museum, we're a living, breathing movement for preserving and interpreting and protecting Black labor history. So we're not just a building with pictures, and that's why even though we're down for construction, we're able to, keep the movement going as we're creating the world's first and only Black labor tourism district named A. Philip Randolph's Way in honor of A. Philip Randolph.
And why call it Gentle Warrior Awards?
Well, we call it Gentle Warrior Awards because that's what A. Philip Randolph was often referred to during his time. He was a very poised man, a very, mild-tempered man, but he was very, very influential and powerful in all of his moves. And he did it in a gentle way. So they called him the Gentle Warrior. So that's why we call the awards Gentle Warrior Awards, because it gives us an opportunity to bring people up to speed, on what he did. People like one of our awardees tonight, Keith Richardson. He's president of the American Postal Workers Union. I like to call him a gentle warrior because, he's a gentleman that just does so much under the radar. We have a guy named EJ. That's what we all call him. He's the founder of Black Labor Week. These are people that people know about, but we want to elevate their profile so people understand how important the work that they're doing is.
I think this is awesome. Now, I like to say, obviously, we're in Black History Month, and I think it's appropriate that you would be doing this during Black History Month at such a historical place. But obviously, this museum is open to people throughout the rest of the year. Tell us about some of the things that people should come out and see throughout the year.
Absolutely. So again, we're under construction right now because we're under our expansion plan. So we're currently closed right now. We'll be closed until the summer. And then at that point, people will be able to come back. But you can always go to our website, PullmanPortersMuseum.org, and just kind of see all of the great things we have. We have a temporary, exhibit up, a viral exhibit on the website. And you can also see some of the pictures and, some of the things that we have there. But again, we are closed right now because we're expanding.
Well, expansion is a wonderful thing. And again, that takes us into the future. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining me. Congratulations on all of you all's success. I think it's especially important that everyone comes out when you're back open to see the new Jesse Jackson wing. That will be so impactful, especially given the moment that we are in, this season of transition that we are in. And congratulations also to all of your honorees tonight. They have done the work and deserve the awards.
Absolutely. And hopefully you guys can come out and visit us live so I don't have to worry about my phone dropping.
It just adds a little character to the whole thing. It's all right. We were still here when you picked it back up.
Absolutely. Well, you have an amazing weekend, and thanks for giving us the opportunity to come on and talk about our work.
Okay, absolutely. We'll see you again, I'm sure. The work continues, the work continues. So we're happy to celebrate with them as they are celebrating right now, again, the Gentle Warrior Awards there at the Pullman Porter Museum that holds so much history within it. Now, our very own Casey Cronus has been working hard on a couple of big stories this week, and I want to pick her brain on both of those. The first of which pertains to the big decision from the Supreme Court first thing this morning as it pertained to tariffs and the Emergency Powers Act that the president tried to enact tariffs on, but they say they're illegal. And so now we ask what happens from here. And it all comes back to a Vernon Hills company. Casey, thank you for taking a moment before the 4 o'clock news to chat with me here. Did you catch up with those folks with the Vernon Hills company, Learning Resources today?
Hey, Anita, we did, and they say they feel vindicated by the justice's ruling. You may remember the company, which owns brands including Learning Resources and Hand to Mind. They sued the Trump administration last April over those tariffs. As you mentioned, they argued that he did not have the constitutional authority to invoke and impose those tariffs under IEEPA, or the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Now, their case went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. That alone is rare, and today an even bigger win when they found out that the justices ruled 6-3 in their favor. That means that those tariffs, according to experts, will cease to exist, the tariffs under IEEPA. Now, President Trump, as you know, did say earlier today that he is going to work around this, that he plans to impose a 10% global tariff. So it'll be really interesting to see how it all plays out in terms of what happens next. What will the president do? And also, will the government reimburse not just this company here in Vernon Hills, but all the companies across the U.S. that spent millions of dollars on tariffs in the past year? Learning Resources says that in 2024, they spent roughly $2 million on tariffs. Last year, in 2025, they were on track to spend $14 million. We're standing in their warehouse right now. It's 365,000 square feet, and this is essentially the last stop here in the U.S. before products are distributed across the country. Now, of course, it has changed how they've done business, where and how they've manufactured their products. So the tariffs have had huge implications, not just on this business, but on so many. We spoke to a UIC professor of law today who you'll hear from at 4 and 5 o'clock, but he says it could take months or even years to sort of unravel all of this.
Yeah, just from this one decision. And again, you still have this other element of the fact that the president says, okay, well, I'm just going to use an executive order to do what I intended to do. Maybe I can't go this way. You've narrowed my presidential power, but I'm just going to do a workaround here. I'm going to sit that part aside, and I want to go back to your story from yesterday because it did precede this morning. We had you here on the show talking about the spa owner in Hinsdale. What happened today?
Yeah, that's right. He was in court today for an arraignment hearing, Jason Wade Spencer of Texas, but he was charged for illegally making video recordings, unauthorized recordings, allegedly at a spa that he owns in Hinsdale. His arraignment hearing was today. He faces 64 counts of unauthorized videotaping. He did plead not guilty today, and he'll be due back in court in the next several weeks. It was a relatively quick hearing, but that's where things stand in that case. That, of course, after a grand jury earlier this week indicted him on additional counts. Originally, he was just charged with 5 counts. It was bumped up to 64 on Monday.
Wow. So you've been on some very big cases this week, and I just wanted to kind of get an update on both of them, as I know you're getting ready for the 4 o'clock news. So I won't hold you any longer. Thank you so much. I know you're rushing around, so thank you for taking a moment to chat with us here on Chicago Live.
Of course. Thanks, Anita.
Absolutely. That will be a big question for the tariff conversation as to, okay, what happens now for these companies that essentially would be owed all of the money that they lost over the last several months. Now with this ruling being overturned or overturning, the president's power that he felt he had to enact these tariffs. Now what happens? How do you unravel all of that? And especially if you are supposed to be under the Supreme Court unraveling it, but at the same time there's a new workaround that would still enact tariffs. I mean, I don't know even if it's a 1-to-1. There were so many pages, over 100 pages in that ruling today. So I think we're all still digesting. It's good to hear that at least for this particular business that they're breathing, at least for today, a sigh of relief. But you kind of have to have in your back of your mind, okay, where do we go from here if there are still tariffs that will be enacted just in a different way. Like how much of a breather do you really get? So again, we wanted to get the update from her on that major story. You'll get more information from her coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. And then I also wanted to ask her about that situation that she was on from Hinsdale, because that is an ongoing case that is extremely troubling. 64 counts is nothing small. So we want to make sure that as an organization, we are staying, up to date on the very latest information that we're getting on both of those very important cases. Listen, we're going to sit still for a moment. We're working on getting our next guest on the line. We were hoping to be able to have a conversation about sleep out for homelessness before we turned you over to the 4 o'clock show here. Did you know 58,000 Chicagoans have experienced homelessness? I mean, 1 in 5 households facing food insecurity, and that is just this year. That is just this year alone. And so this organization is doing something to raise all of our awareness, because most of us would not know these things if it were not for them raising it to our attention here. And they're going to be doing this sleep out all night at the Church of Our Savior, and that's going to be happening tonight. So we know that they're kind of moving around, getting ready for this, but it's also an organization that has done this many times before, and raising dollars, raising attention, raising awareness for these very important causes here. Marcos Alvarado, who is the programs manager, and Michael Pickering, who is the on-site coordinator, are joining me now to talk a little bit more about it. Thank you so much for your time. Can you hear me? Okay, looks like we're having a technological issue there. But again, we know that they have been very busy. So if we're able to get that again within our time here, that will be great. But there are 4 ways that they're looking for people to participate with them. Again, they have the major event that's going to be happening, and that's at the Church of Our Savior. They're also doing, asking people to kind of do their own sleep out parties at home. And then there's a sleep all night at a slumber party idea, as well as be a fire tender. So I think we have this worked out now. Again, Marcus Alvarado, the programs manager, joining me now. Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay now?
Sorry about that. I was having a little bit of difficulties on my end, but I think we're okay now.
It's all right. I can hear you. I can see you. And I appreciate what you're doing, raising our awareness to the issues going on in our communities. Tell me a little bit about, 11 years. It is amazing that you all have been doing this, but what is going to happen? Like, walk us through the night.
Yeah, so the night kicks off at about 7 p.m., and we'll have a group of presenters coming. We have Senator Sarah Feigenholtz, as well as the alderman of Lincoln Park, Timothy Knudsen. And then we'll have some speakers, some Care for Friends volunteers speaking as well, talking about their experience, trying to become part of the community and doing things and doing their part to help the community. So kicks off about at 7 o'clock. We have speakers. We get the campfires going. We also hold a candlelight vigil for many of our friends in Chicago that we lose, that we not only lost this year, but that we lose every single year to homelessness. And so it's something to remind ourselves that, we, no matter what the outcomes are, we're still here to serve, and we're going to keep on serving. And so after that vigil and after all that, then our sleepers will go to their tents. We have about 8 tents set up outside of 530 West Fullerton right now, where folks who participate in the event will be sleeping out all night in the weather conditions. I know we had some really nice weather on Monday, but today it's dropping back down. It's getting cold. It's getting windy with the wind chill and everything. So although it's just one night for many of our sleep outers, this is a reality that a lot of our friends in Chicago face at any point in time. So it's something to remind ourselves and to remind a lot of other folks that this is something that's very real. It's something that keeps happening. And if something that you don't see every day, we're showing you it's something that you could see every day. So it's, we want to make it very apparent that this is still a problem that's happening, and we're doing whatever we can to help out.
I want you to tell me about the importance of the location where this is happening.
Yeah, so Care for Friends began in the 1960s during the Democratic National Convention. A group of protesters were facing some hostility from some governing forces here in the city. So Church of Our Savior actually opened their doors up for them and provided the space as a safe shelter for them. And that eventually led to that little community doing a meal once a week. And then eventually in 2012, I believe, or 2014, I always forget, but they decided to make it a full-on nonprofit. So originally we were just operating out of Church of Our Savior, and we were doing, I believe, 2 meals a week. And then in the early 2010s, we decided to become a nonprofit. And so, we're back to our roots. This location at 530 West Fullerton, we have been absent here for about 3.5 years while we were getting basically our entire community hub, we call it, getting built up. And so now we have a space that's specifically for us and specifically meets our needs so that we can address the needs of thousands of Chicagoans that come through our door. And so it's almost like a homecoming. This is the first time we're doing it back here, and we have the new space, and it's a really big event for us.
There are so many different issues that you could be addressing right now. Why really go in on this one and to the point where you are expanding your services?
Yeah, we believe that the right to food and safety and shelter is a human right. So we are doing whatever we can to bridge that gap. A lot of our resources that we have, we like to call it the hub, because everything we do is to connect folks to resources so that way they can further achieve that outcome that they want, right? So we like to say we fill in the gaps. There's a lot of folks that come in, since we're a no questions asked facility. There's some folks that are struggling but may meet the requirements in order to not have SNAP, or maybe they don't have Medicaid, things like that. So there's a lot of folks that fall within those gaps, and there's a lot of folks that just need our help. So our main issue is tackling home and food insecurity, but along the way we help our guests out with truly everything that encompasses the person, from medical help to mental health resources to just getting them a warm plate. We want to make sure that everyone's basic needs are met so that they can go on and be the best version of themselves that they can be.
It really is beautiful. And I went over when we didn't have you some of the ways that you all say people can participate tonight. Would you maybe explain those a little bit better than I could, the 4 different ways?
Yeah, so we have 4 different ways you can participate. Our original option and the most popular option is the classic sleep out option. So many of these folks that sleep out sign up about a month in advance. And much like you would sign up for a marathon and ask for donations, this is really what our folks that sleep out do. They're kind of like marathon runners. They set up their own individual page, and they have folks to donate to them while they go through this journey and sleeping out all night. So that's the classic option. You sleep out with us. We have the tent and the sleeping bags and the community all set up. We'll do hot cocoa and we'll do snacks and s'mores and things like that. So an option is that you can even host your own sleep out slumber party at home. And so we provide you with a list of activities that you can do in your own space. Activities like researching resources that are right around your area, how you yourself can take a hand into helping those facing home and food insecurity. So you can host your own slumber party. Another option as well is to be a fire tender. So you can sign up to actually come and watch our fires and keep them going all night while our volunteers and sleep outers are outside in the tents. The event runs from about 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So at any point, there's always a lively little group of folks that are keeping the fire going and just.
Okay. I think we're having still some issues with the connectivity there, but he did get through the 4 options. He was just saying there's a lively group of folks that you can have some, spirited time with if you go out to the Be a Fire Tender, if that's the option that you choose. Again, 4 ways that you can help. Now, listen, they have a website that you can get more information for anything that I didn't get for him there that you'd like to find more information about. It's www.cffsleeps.com. Again, www.cffsleeps.com, so that you can get more information about Sleep Out for Homelessness and the wonderful things that they are doing to, again, raise our awareness and help so many people in our community who find themselves on hard times. It's 3:55 right now. Give us a 2-minute break, and then we'll be back to close things out for the week. Welcome back, everyone. It's 3:57 right now. We so appreciate you being here with us each weekday as we come here between 1 and 4 p.m. for Chicago Live. This week really has been jam-packed. I mean, we have had some major stories to happen this week. Obviously, we had the passing of Reverend Jesse Jackson, and just so you know, we will be covering his services both next week on Thursday and Friday, and also the following week now, as the family has really looked to try to celebrate his life in many of the places that were special to him along the way. So now they will be going and opening up services in South Carolina and in Washington, D.C. But on both ends of those services, they will have things that are here in Chicago. So we'll be covering those extensively over the next 2 weeks. We also had the big conversation about the Chicago Bears and where they're going to end up. Will they end up the Indiana Bears? Of course, that is still an ongoing conversation here, especially going into next week as well, where we are anticipating that the Illinois legislature will try to do something before this month ends to keep them at least in the state of Illinois. And of course, the big conversation today, the U.S. Supreme Court ruling on tariffs and where that goes from here. But we know it actually started in our area as well. So we'll have plenty to talk about next week, but we certainly appreciate you being here with us this week. We're going to send you over to First at 4 now. Have a good weekend.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at 4.
All right, a lot going on today. Arlington Heights isn't letting this go yet. The back and forth over the Bears' stadium plans getting louder.